Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to create a Roblox GFX using only Roblox Studio and Blender. So beforehand, before we start any of this, make sure that you have Roblox Studio and Blender installed. Also, let me go over here. You want to go to Roblox and make sure that you have this add-in enabled. So you want to go to Create, and now you want to go to Library, then go to Plugins, and make sure that you have at least the Load Character Lite. So you want to download this and it will put it into your Roblox Studio. And also what you want to do is you want to search up Moon Animator, if I can spell it right, and then you should find this right here. Well, you need to find the right one. Here we go. So this is the one. I will link both of these in the description below. So yeah, make sure that you have Moon Animator and the Load Character installed. Once all that is done, you want to open Roblox Studio. It might ask you to log in if you've never used Roblox Studio before, but I'm already logged in, so we're just going to click on Baseplate here. Alright, now we don't need the toolbox, so you can close that. All we really need is the Explorer open, which if you don't have any of these things open, what you can do is you can go into View, and then from here, click on the Explorer. And this is all that we need. We just need the screen and the Explorer. Now go to the Plugins tab and click on Load Character. This should pop up. Now here we're going to insert the username of the player that we want to make a GFX of. So I'm just going to choose my main account, and then make sure that this spawn origin is checked, and then spawn R15. Alright, so once you have your character loaded in here, here's mine. Now you want to make sure that you're in the Plugins tab once again, and click on Moon Animator. And this should come up. You can make this smaller if you want. Then go to File, New Animation. Now call this whatever you want. I'm going to call it Model. Continue. So now what you want to do is click on the plus button right here. And now click on, in the Explorer, the model with your username on it. And then click OK. So now we basically have this all done. So we're going to drag this to the bottom. And all we have to do now is just click on the parts that we want to move on the character. So you can move the arms, the legs, the head, the torso, anything on here. And once you're done posing, we're going to move on to the next step. Alright, so once you're done posing your character, we can now move on to the next step. But a quick little tip is, if you click on this, it should just bring you with the rotator. However, if you click on R on your keyboard, you can move them in any direction that you want. Just in case you need to reposition stuff, like I used that for the head to make it sit a little bit higher. But yeah, once you are done posing your character, go up here, right click on the model, the character model, and go all the way down to Export Selection. And you want to click on that. And now what you want to do is either create a new folder or save this to your desktop. Just save it anywhere where you can keep it. Alright, so once you have saved it, now what you want to do is close out of this. However, if you want a prop, which I don't need one, but I'm just going to show you how to do that, you can go to Toolbox, and let's say that you want something like a coffee mug. So I'm going to search up coffee mug. So you just search this up and say that you want this one. Okay, so this is the one that we're going to be using. Just go over here, export the selection the same way that you did this, and make sure to name it something like coffee or something that isn't, the same name as this, so that you don't get them mixed up. Anyway, now what you can do is close out of this. You don't have to save it. And what you want to do now is go to Blender. So now once you have Blender open, I am using, I think this is Blender 2.8, but there is a new 2.9, so I think you can pick between which one that you want. If you want to be specific, download Blender 2.8 because this is what I'm going to be using. So quick overview on the controls. You can hold down Shift and the middle mouse button to move around like so. And to rotate your camera, just hold down the middle mouse button. Pretty simple. So now what you want to do to get your character in this Blender thing, world, whatever you want to call it, go up to File, click on that, then go down to Import, and then you want to select wavefront.obj. Make sure that you select this one. Now go to wherever you saved the model, and I saved it in here. Make sure that you find the model that you saved and make sure that it says .obj, like so. Then click on Import. And your character should be in here, but you might be asking to yourself, why is it gray? Well, that's because we have to maneuver our mouse right over here and click on this last one right here. It should say Viewport Shading. That's the one that we're going to be using. And as you can see, we now have a little bit of shading and you can see the colors. So it should be a lot more vibrant than just gray. Anyway, we want to go up to the model. So here is basically like the Explorer on Roblox Studio instead of that just in Blender. So we're going to go up and click on our model name, whatever you named it. Click on that and then go to this little camera setting. It should be the top button under the little tools. So you want to click on that. It is called the render properties to be specific, and turn on ambient occlusion, give that a little check, and bloom. These are the two most important settings that I use every single time I do my GFX. So you can also click these little arrows to bring down the drop down, which is very important. The distance on this one, you can click on it to put any number that you want. I usually put it on 6.3. I don't know why, that's just my number, all right? And then you can mess with all these settings. Bloom is just going to make it a little bit smoother, a little bit softer. And ambient occlusion, you know, just fixes, I don't know, it just makes, these two make them look a lot better. So I would mess with all of this until you are happy with it. So yeah, I'm just gonna mess with these settings and I'll be right back. All right, I just gave them a little bit of a tweak and now we are back. So if you find this light thing right here, this is very important. Click on this, and it should highlight the light wherever it is. Go to this button here, which is going to move it. All right, so now we have these little move buttons, just like in Roblox Studio. We're gonna move these around, all right, until, look at that, it lights up your character. Isn't that nice? So you want to put this somewhere that gives it some, you know, dramatic lighting or something like that. And you can also add in another light for some color. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. Alrighty, so if you do want to add in some accent color, which I highly recommend, you can go into Add. Alright, and then this drop down will appear. Go all the way down to Light. Okay, and now click Point. It should put the point right below your character if you've been doing this right. So now go over to this little light tab right here. Make sure that you click on the point so that you can change these settings. Go to the light and then you should see color. Click on that color and select whatever color you want. I'm going to go for maybe, let's do like a red. I think that will look good. And then turn up the power to around 1,000. So now, once you start moving it, you should see that we have some accent light going on, which looks pretty darn good, I'm not gonna lie. So I think I like it there, but you can put it wherever you want. You can put it behind the character and you can add more than one lights. So you can just do the same thing, add light point, go select that point, go to the light setting and change the color, put it at 1,000 power or whatever you want to do. So yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that accent lighting there. Of course, you do not have to do the accent lighting, but I do recommend it. So now we want to make sure that when we render this, the background is going to be transparent so that we can edit it later. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to this little thing here, which is output properties. So what we wanna do now, we're not gonna do the transparency thing yet, we're gonna do that right after this. The resolution, this is going to be 1920 by 1080, which is a pretty good resolution. As you can see, this is going to be how big it is. It's like a rectangle, but I usually put it at a square or maybe like a sideways rectangle, a vertical one. So you can just go to the camera view by clicking this little camera button right here, and that will show you the camera view. And then you can just mess around with this resolution. You can make it whatever you want. This is sort of like a phone sort of picture here, but yeah, you can totally mess around with this. And I would make the number, say if you're doing like a square, if you want to do a square, I would make it a pretty high number based on how good your PC is. So I'm gonna put mine at around 3,200, which looks a little bit weird at first, but I'm gonna put the next one at 3,200 too. So we should have this nice square, and it's the same amount of pixels on each side. So now go to your percentage, and if you have an amazing computer, I would put it at around 200%, not any higher than 200. But if you have a computer like me, I would say around 135 is a good one. But if your computer can simply not handle rendering stuff like this and you have a pretty crappy PC, I would probably leave it at 100, but I'm gonna put it up at 135. You can also do 120, and that's good too. Just whatever your PC can handle. Of course, the better PC, the better resolution you're gonna get, but as long as you have a good PC, you should be good. All right, so now what you wanna do is you wanna go back up to view, go to navigation, and this button should be all the way at the bottom, walk navigation. Press that, and now you can use your WASD keys to just, find a good angle. So I want to render mine sort of like this, and also Q goes down, E goes up. So I'm gonna do mine like right there, just sort of straight on, but you can do anything like an angle or stuff like that. So once you're done, just click, and then you can go out of camera view, just like so. So now I usually do a tilt. You can either render it straight on so you get that straight look, or you can do just a little bit of a tilt, which adds a lot more character actually. So I'm gonna do a little tilt. Okay, so I think I like it that way. I'm gonna pull it back a little bit. You can use the move controls as well as the rotate controls to do the camera as well. So once you are happy with your pose and all of that, we're now gonna make it transparent. Remember when I said that? We're gonna do it now. So we're gonna go back up to this camera option, and then you're gonna scroll down until you find the film tab. Make that bigger, and then click on transparent. Now this should make the background look like all these checkered squares. That is what we want. So now, once you're done with the camera angle and everything, you wanna go up to render, and render image. All right. So now your image should render. All right, now as you can see, it rendered my image. Now this resolution is pretty good. I mean, you can always make the resolution better. I'm just gonna stick with this one for now. So now I'm gonna go up to image, save as, and then you can save this anywhere. I recommend your desktop for now, just so that you can get to it easier. Alright, so once you have saved the image, you can now exit out of Blender. You do not need to save since you've already rendered it and you're done with it. So you can just exit out of there. So now what we want to do, you can use any editing program you want, or you can just use the transparent picture. That's absolutely fine. But if you do want to do the editing part, which is extra, mind you, you can download GIMP, you can use Photoshop, you can also use Paint.net, which I'm not sure how good that is with editing GFX, but GIMP, Paint.net are both free. Photoshop is very pricey, but if you do have it, that will be better than both of those. Today I'm going to be using GIMP. If you want to download it for free, it'll also be in the description. So that's going to be the easiest option since I'm gonna teach you how to do it right now. So open GIMP on your computer once you have it installed. Mine is GIMP 2.10. So once you have downloaded the newest version of GIMP, or you can download my version. I think mine does need to be updated, but you can download any version that you want and it should work pretty much the exact same. So now I'm going to get my image in here and we will start editing. All right, here it is, and it should have the checkered squared background once again. So now I'm gonna go over to my layers, which should be on the right-hand side. I'm gonna right click, add a new layer. You can call this whatever you want. I'm just gonna call it nothing. And you're gonna drag this under your GFX. So this will be the background, which I usually do first. Now, if you want to straighten this out for now, which I think I'm going to do, just, you can use the rotate tool. There we go. And by the way, the rotate tool looks like this. And you can also use the move tool to put it around the middle. There we go. So now let's select our background layer and let's go on a Google picture spree. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna search up something that looks good with my GFX right now. So I'm gonna do something like, creepy abandoned building. Yeah, that'll work fine. So just search some, Google images and use that. Oh my, I'm gonna use this one since it is black and white and it will make the color pop a little bit more. So once you are ready, select the layer. And once you are done copying your image, which by the way, you just right click it and click copy image, click on the layer again and Control V. That should paste it. Now, the smaller the image when it pastes, the lower resolution it's gonna be, but that should be fine because we're gonna blur out the background anyway. So I'm just gonna put it somewhere like there. There we go. All right, so now since my character does have some black on it, it's kind of hard to see which part's the background, such as this horn, and which part is the actual character. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to click on this. Now this, you have to follow these instructions because it's kind of long. So you're gonna right click on this, alpha to selection. That's what you wanna click on. So then it should outline your whole GFX. That's what it should do. So now go up to the top, select grow. This is gonna grow the border. I'm gonna do something like 17 pixels. Just mess around with this. You can also shrink it by pixels as well if you did it too big. All right, I think that's pretty good. So you should have a little bit of space between your GFX and the outline. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new layer, put this below the GFX and above the background, so it should be right in the middle. Take your fill bucket tool and select a white color. Or you can do a black one, whichever makes your character pop, I guess. And then go up to this little gap between the GFX and the outline and click on that. And wabam, we should have a nice outline. So now it still should be selected. Go up to select and none. And bam, it's already looking pretty good. So now we're gonna blur out the background. So I'm gonna select the background here and I'm going to go up to filters, blur, and then select the second one down, which should be a Gaussian blur. So now put this up just a little bit, I would say maybe by 9 or 10. Or you can up it up just a little bit more if you want some of those details to be lost, if there's a lot of details. But yeah, somewhere around there should be good. Once you're done, click OK. So now we're gonna click on our GFX, all right, and then we're gonna right click on it, and then click on merge down. So now it should be one with the outline. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to add a shadow to the background, which you don't have to do, but I'm just going to do it for now. Go to filters, go down to light and shadow, and then a drop shadow. So now you can unchain this if you want to move it more more personalized on the shadow. But just find somewhere that looks good. And also, if you can't really see where your shadow is, click on the color and do like a bright red. And then you should be able to see where your shadow is going. Also, if you don't want it to be a shadow, you can turn it into like a ring light. I don't know, whatever you want to do. You know what? Now that I'm looking at it, yeah, I might do that actually. I might keep the red. I think that looks pretty good. You can also mess with the blur radius, and this is just gonna do what it says it's gonna do. And it can do like this sort of thing. You can sort of slide it to the middle, and you have this outline, which looks pretty dang cool. So now if you want to do like a shadow below the feet, kind of like an Among Us shadow, you can click on the background, go to your paintbrush tool, click on this and select the one right next to this giant ball. It should be a little bit fuzzy. So now turn up your size to, I don't know, enough to do sort of like this. Now go to the black here. We're gonna create a new layer. Put this in between the GFX and the background. And just do a nice little circle right here. Voila. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the mode. It should say normal. We're gonna click on that. If this looks good, we're gonna do multiply. And that should make the shadow a little bit more noticeable. And then you can put the transparency down a tiny little bit. So, wabam shazam, we are now done with our GFX. You can now put a watermark on it, which I strongly recommend if you're gonna share this to the public, because lots of people actually steal GFXs, and it would be a lot better if you had your personalized touch or your username on there, just so people know where to find you and where to tell you that someone basically stole it. So I'm gonna put mine on there, and thank you all for watching this video. We're pretty much done with the tutorial. I love you all. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you found this helpful, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye!